so funny that we think it's funny when he does it, but we think it's ridiculous when Dabo does it.
An outside pod today.
Outside pod, episode 70.
Episode 70, 70 plus degrees, definitely way over 70, but pollen's in full swing, but the weather's just so nice. Your own sabbatical. Why not record outside in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon?
Why not? Spring is springing. It's feeling good. Everything's so green, dude.
Spring be springing.
Both spots, everything's so
For
green.
both of us. Look at that.
Yeah.
Got a lot of green. I love this.
I think this might be my
So
favorite
hype
time
right
of
now.
year.
I think so too, because the spring's not really a thing. So it's pretty much like beginning of summer right now is what it feels like.
Exactly.
You know, I guess it's a little bit of a spring, but like it's 90 degrees now.
Yes, the only difference I noticed with spring is like the morning and the evening are a little bit cooler. But during the day, it's still pretty much just as hot, so.
And the evening when it's cooler is the best time. All throughout the summer, but starting in the spring when it's just like right before dusk, like maybe 7 o'clock. You catch a little sunset, it starts cooling off. It's still a little bit warm, but cool at the same time, which doesn't really make sense, but if you don't think about it, it does make sense.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about though?
Oh, yeah.
When it's like a little bit warm, but whether there's a breeze or it's just the sun's going down, it feels cool too. It's perfect.
Yeah, I agree. Big time vibes with the spring coming. Can't wait for summer, dude.
Big time vibes. Speaking of vibes, we were talking about, what was it, last episode that we did the draft? Yeah, because pre-draft. And you were saying Chop Robinson, best name in the draft. And he is a Dolphin now. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, like the pick. Also like Jalen Wright. And unfortunately,
Even though you said he was the worst of the four.
Unfortunately, I said that about Chop Robinson and Jalen Wright. But I didn't factor in the fact that Miami's built on speed. And Jalen Wright is pure speed. He's the fastest, I think second fastest running back in the draft there. Maybe the fastest, I don't know. Anyway.
And Chop Robinson's quick too.
Yeah, dude. So, I mean, you know, while the other guys maybe just a step above on some other teams, Dolphins are going to get the best out of them with the speed. Truly believe that.
Plus, even if you're getting two of those positions in the top four, that's solid. That's good work.
Yeah, good work. We'll talk about it later.
But
I do think the Dolphins had a great draft, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've got a few things to hit on the draft later, but before then, you know, just normal amateur hour. I was watching the Braves game last night, and this is a sign that I'm getting old, because the game started at 9:40. I'm like, it's so late because it's a West Coast game. I started watching. The game's flying because we're talking classic pitchers duels, and everyone else would have thought it was boring, but I was appreciating it. It was a no-hitter on both sides through the first 6 innings.
Oof. Well, the good thing about that is that's a quick game.
It was moving, but here's the thing. It was around midnight going into the 9th inning, and the Braves had a 1-0 lead. I was like, I've got to go to bed now. Like, this is too much. It's a 1-0. I've spent the last 8 innings probably watching a game that I should have gone to bed way earlier. But whatever, here we are. Wake up this morning, and they lose 2-1, all because they went to sleep. It's on me. I can take responsibility for that, but that was a bummer.
They knew, dude.
Pitching was excellent, though.
You weren't chopping on. Who was pitching last night for the Braves?
Max Fried.
Dude, he's been playing really well.
Yeah, because he had that rough start with 2 games, and then I don't remember how many earned runs he gave up, but it was a good amount. Didn't last very long. Then last start, he had a Maddox, a 92-pitch complete game shutout,
dude.
which was nice.
He is one of the only people that I've seen recently that has the ability to do that. He's just so accurate. Doesn't walk a lot of people, which I love.
In zone, like strike rate, pitch rate was, I think, in the 70 percentile for a while in that game. I'm like, that's nuts.
Yeah, it's really good.
Just churning out strikes, which Braves defense is good, but even if not, like, there's something to be said about pitchers that just still throw strikes and work efficiently.
Yeah, gotta love that. And again, it makes for a quick game, which is always good because sometimes baseball games can just drag on. Love baseball, but every now and then you get those games that just drag on and on.
They've changed it. Well, it's changed so much with the new rules. Because, I'm sure that people still feel that. But between extra innings starting with a man on second, that speeds up extra innings. Because most of the time, I don't know if I'm sure there are, but I can't think of any games that have gone past like 11, maybe 12 innings.
Right.
And then pitching-wise, pitch clock, even before they sped it up against this year, It's just kind of moving fast. It's like 2.5 hours for a game, which I think is good for the game of baseball in general.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, the reason I quit baseball in high school, well, there's a couple different reasons, but one of the biggest reasons was I had a nightmare basically that I was in a never-ending baseball game, and
Really?
I was just out in the outfield, and the pitcher was pitching, and it was continual foul balls, foul ball, foul ball, foul ball, and I was out there for hours, and I couldn't rest, and I couldn't even get up to bat. And it was horrible. And I woke up the next day and was like, you know what? I think I don't enjoy this anymore. So I'm done.
I think I'm out.
I think I'm
out on it.
Baseball's super fun to play, but like that kind of stuff just kills me. You're in tournaments where you got all these games, and yeah, it can get pretty old when it's like that.
It's fair. Today, Tuesday, is the first day of softball season for me. So I got a game tonight. And our team, love them. It's fun. We're not really the best. And there have been some innings where I never thought ever we would leave the field. There was one last season that I think they scored, I'm pretty sure they scored 10 runs before we got a second out.
Oof, man.
They had hit around once before we got one out.
In softball, there's just like nothing you can do about it either. It's not like you're getting up there striking people out. Or I'm assuming the kind of softball you're playing.
Yeah. It's just
right,
like classic
just like slow pitch. That's the thing I hate about it because, like, yeah, you just have to basically get lucky to get outs, you'd say.
Especially if you're playing against a team that just can place the ball. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You're hitting off a tee, so they know how to place it around the field a little bit.
Or if you have guys that can crank it and are just hitting home runs every time.
But it's still fun.
Yeah.
I'll take any chance I get to get out there.
Oh, yeah.
How's your sabbatical going? Because you're back in...
Yeah, South Carolina.
Right?
It's going well. It's been pretty busy so far. So last week after we got done with the pod, I packed my stuff up into a U-Haul and moved a lot of it to Orlando, and then I drove back. Dude, the U-Haul was due. I got it at 8 a.m. It was due at 9 p.m., and I got it back at 8:55 from Orlando. I got stuck on the interstate going down to Orlando because apparently there was a giant pothole that opened up in the road that took up 2 lanes.
Whoa!
Apparently like a sinkhole. They get those in Florida sometimes. I think that's what it was. And
took up 2 lanes.
Took up 2 lanes, and that's a 3-lane.
The green waves.
The green
2-lane green waves.
Yeah, exactly. So I got stuck in that traffic and had to like go some backwards way, and it just was a super long day. And then I got back to my house and I had to pack all my stuff all the stuff I had left into my car or my Explorer. And I looked at all the things I had and I was like, there's absolutely no way this is going to happen. And
you made a way?
I made a way. I'll have to send you the picture of the Explorer packed to the brim to put up here.
Send a picture. We'll throw it in the episode.
Yeah, I will.
Sure.
It was ridiculous. Like I still don't know how I got that stuff in there. So half that stuff's still in there. But just been moving back. Then I had my buddy's wedding this weekend, which was really fun. At the wedding, me and my buddy from high school, I used to grab his foot and like get him to do a backflip. And we've done it plenty of times. We actually did it at his wedding. And we talked about doing it at this wedding, and then we were on the dance floor, and then it just happened. Like, my buddy was getting married, like, pushed him into it. He was like, do a backflip. And we didn't have time to, like, practice or, like, talk about the countdown or anything. And we did 3, 2, 1, and I threw him on 1, and he thought I was going to do one more. And I just threw him up in the air, and he leaned back and just ate it, dude. It was on the middle of the dance floor, just killed everybody was like, oh.
Boom.
Yeah.
Done.
So the other thing is I think it partially may have been, it's both of our faults for not going over what number we were going on. But looking back, I think we probably had in the past done it on the one after. But at the same time, like, if you're the one jumping, why do you lay out if you're not ready to jump? I don't know. I guess he just tried to save it, but luckily he wasn't too bad hurt. I think it was more like we were just embarrassed.
The pride.
It was like, dude. But
physically I'm fine. The pride's killing, though.
Yeah, exactly. So that was eventful.
One of the wedding things I'm doing right now, because we've got that black tie wedding this summer, and then there's another one that I'm supposed to wear like a tux for. This is going to come as a shock to everyone who knows me, but your boy's not exactly like a tux guy.
Right.
And I don't really want to rent one. So right now I'm trying this out, and I think it's going to work. I went to Target and just got a black suit there. Ooh. And one of the just a regular black satin tie.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do a makeshift tux, and I think it's gonna work. And it's all for like $115 or something like that.
Nice,
All
dude.
said and done.
Oh, yeah, I bet you'll pull
So-
it off. It'll probably look better than my real tux,
Yeah, stop it. Maybe.
honestly.
You never know. So we'll see how that goes. I've got to figure out a way to work the system and still be accepted.
Yeah, it got to be you,
know?
man. I
Gotta
hate
be
the
me.
rules. Is that wedding's a black tie wedding?
Yeah, it's black tie, which I'm bringing a black tie. It doesn't say tux wedding. So.
Fair. That's the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't make them.
Well, because my thought is like, if you get a tux, you're only going to wear a tux in a tux setting. If I get a suit, you can kind of dress it up a little bit to fit in with the tux. Potentially, might not work. In my mind, it does.
Yeah.
And then you could also dress it down and wear it in other.
Oh, you can wear a
situations. So,
black.
like if I'm going to spin.
You can wear a black suit to a black tie wedding.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Right?
I think that is the rule. I think it's just specifically that you wear like black suit.
Dang.
Tux
You wear a
also.
black tie.
Yeah,
also,
and a black tie.
which I got.
Yeah, I can't stand ties, man. I like opening it up. I'm super cool with the jackets.
But a tie, I don't know if they look good. Jury's still out on that.
Right.
Functionally, they might be the dumbest thing.
Yeah, like what if you get in a
And-
throwdown and somebody grabs you by the tie? Like, come on.
It's like getting tackled by hair or
Yeah,
a chain,
right?
something like that.
Yeah, it's just like I don't need that hanging around. It could get in my food. I don't know.
Yeah?
Not a big fan of ties. I think it looked better
Didn't
having an
either.
open top button anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think it looks better without a tie.
Yeah.
A tie just feels like this silly, foreign, antiquated garment that I don't know. I guess maybe you didn't have a top button and you needed to tie it with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't serve a purpose now.
It really doesn't make sense, honestly. What do I do? Wipe my face with it?
Even as dumb as like cummerbund is, that even makes more sense, I guess, than a tie.
Yeah, hide your little fat pouch.
No love handles.
Yeah, that makes a little more sense. Tie does basically nothing.
Nothing. Just uncomfortable. Traps heat in, especially if you're wearing a jacket. You got a tie that's just sealing off
Right.
the entire exit for heat.
Are you more straight tie or bow tie?
I'm a straight tie guy.
Yeah. Figured.
You bow tie guy?
I think with a tux, if I have to wear a tie, I'm going bow tie.
Yeah, figured.
Don't know how to tie a bow tie, but every time I go to a wedding, somebody knows how to tie a bow tie. And I'm like frantically
Do you
like.
not have the clip-on
somebody-
one
No, it's
for the bow
like
tie?
a real one.
Oh, that's the mistake. You should get a clip on one.
But that's like.
That's when they're extra accepted.
then I feel
That's
like
the
I'm
normal
like
one.
in middle school.
But that's the normal one for like a tuxedo.
Is it?
At least every time I've rented one, it is. which
I don't
maybe
think so, man. I think like the real bow ties, like.
Oh, for like the classy
legit
people
thing.
like you. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
I'm so classy, man. Big class guy.
Not at all.
No.
What are you just chilling until the trip now at home, or
I'm actually gonna make my
what's
way
new?
back down to Florida because I have.
you can't get enough of it?
Yeah, I just love Florida, and that is gonna tease the game we've got a little bit. Might be bringing back Florida, man. I have to go to my storage unit because like I said, I kind of just dumped everything in, and I have like my nice surfboard in there, guitar, mountain bike, like stuff I want to get out to use like the rest of the summer. Then I don't think should sit in a storage unit for too long. So I'm gonna go and get that stuff, and then we're gonna have like a big Florida day to kind of like commemorate my time in Florida. So we're gonna hit, Florida's the peninsula, so you can go to the East Coast and watch the sunrise, and then you can go to the West Coast and watch the sunset, and it's both over a big body of water. So it's obviously the Atlantic and then the Gulf. So I'm gonna do that, which will be pretty big.
That's sweet.
And then just gonna hang out there the weekend and come back up this way.
Dang, that does sound sick. One day we got to do, maybe for undrafted, we'll do the full Florida day.
Yeah, full Florida.
Catch some
day.
water in between the swamps.
Yeah, get the springs in between.
Oh, yeah, true. That's probably better than the swamps.
Springs are awesome.
I got to go down to the springs
Yeah,
with you at some
and
point.
maybe a little bit. I don't know, dude. Swamps are cool, man. Have I ever taken you to the swamp down there?
Yeah, we went, well, I don't know if the swamp that you're talking about, but we went to that, I guess, is it a state or national park near your
yeah.
house in Gainesville?
It-
That one was sick. There were a lot of
A lot
gators,
of gators.
there.
Yeah.
Big gator guy. Not Florida gators, but gators
Right.
native to Florida.
Well, we don't
on the
have to
belt.
play the Florida Gators for the next 2 years in football, so
And
don't hate them
then
as much then.
they're not as good this year in baseball, right?
They have a lot of potential, I'd say. Like they have Jack Caglione, who is
I thought he was gone for some reason.
No, he's
still
like
there.
the Otani of college. He actually just tied the NCAA record with 9 games in a row with a home run. I think on the 10th game, I think they like pretty much didn't pitch to him, and then he didn't get one.
Which I respect. No one wants to give up that record. I get that.
Right. I don't know, man.
Because who are they playing this weekend?
That was like 2 weekends ago.
2 weekends ago.
I think it was against Vandy, maybe. But yeah, Florida's okay. They don't have great pitching. They have an offense that can get really hot. The SEC's kind of pretty wide open right now, aside from Arkansas. Arkansas just looks really, really good.
They do look nasty. I've really just haven't watched that much this year of college baseball. I've watched a little bit of Gamecocks, which pretty big series win against the Wildcats, Kentucky Wildcats.
Huge. Carolina has so much potential. They're very streaky.
Consistency. Yeah. The consistency piece makes me very nervous.
But sometimes those teams are the teams that can make runs.
That is true. If you get hot at the right time, they 10 run because they lost. They ended up winning the series with 2 games. Lost game 2 by 1 run, and then 10 run them on Sunday, which is impressive.
Yeah, I think the key for South Carolina is going to be securing a regional. If they can get a regional, I think they make it to supers, and then it just depends on where the super is. But they're much better at
15
home
right now.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So, I mean, if they keep climbing, they have a couple more chances to have big series wins. If they keep climbing, they could get a super. I guess to secure a super, it'll be top 8. But some of those teams are going to lose. So, in a decent spot right now.
Dude, but, I mean, they were at 24 coming in, or last week, and then the series obviously boosting them to 15 now.
Yeah,
but
and it's
excited for postseason college baseball.
Still have to play Georgia and Tennessee, who are both ranked, so they can move up.
Well, that's the thing. SEC's wide open, but it's also brutal this year.
Yeah, it's tough.
Like the number of good teams that are there, which
I think Georgia's ranked at least. I know Georgia is pretty decent this year, like pretty good. And they haven't been good the past couple of years, so that's kind of tough.
Do you see switching gears again? Tepper back in the news,
taking the hat off the guy's head.
Dude, that was brutal. Because what was it? So you saw it. So it was a sign outside in Charlotte, right?
Yeah, it said let the GM and president draft this year, Tepper, or something along those lines. And he comes in the front door and just takes the dude's hat off his head. And you can't hear what he's saying, but I'm sure it's just some snotty douchebag comment like...
Comes in with his bodyguard or whoever is with him.
I'm sure it's something like, oh, yeah, I actually own this logo, so you can't have it on your head. Something ridiculous. I hope it was something super douchey. And...
Oh, well, taking someone's hat off already is.
Yeah, I mean, unless he was... I don't know. There's really no way.
No, even if you're joking.
Yeah, like, don't touch my hat, dude.
How emasculating
to
just
hat? Come on, man.
Yeah, dude, that's
that.
just emasculating to walk up to someone and take their hat off, and not even in like a good way. That's like, oh, respect the Tepper. It's just like you're a chotch kind of a way.
Yeah, dude, what a jerk.
What's new? Still the same.
Yeah, the bad thing is I kind of want to pull for the Panthers now because Xavier Legette, they got Jadeveon
Clowney back there.
And they got somebody on the line too.
I know.
And
they
JC
might make
Horn.
it back to my second favorite team if they play their cards right.
I think they'll be I'll semi-pull for them. Like, I'm not pulling hardcore for them, but I want those boys to do well.
Other NFL stuff. I remember I was pretty out on C.J. Stroud going into the draft. And I stand by it. It was just Ohio State bias. I am hand up. I was wrong about him.
I've watched I admitted in the season he looked really good. But I've seen a few interviews and clips of interviews with him lately. Everything that's coming out of that man's mouth, I like. He just seems like a super down-to-earth, knowledgeable about football, balanced, confident but humble, all of the things.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I was completely wrong on C.J. Stroud. Not that I had that same opinion that I did about Caleb Williams, which I could be wrong on Caleb Williams too. That's what I'm saying here. I don't know if I am.
No,
but
I
C.J.
think
Stroud, I'm like, he's the man, dude.
I think the difference is even if Caleb Williams plays well, we're still going to not like him because he just seems like such a douche.
The only thing that I've heard that makes me question that negative opinion I have about him was, I guess, at the Combine when he just showed up, no cameras or anything, to watch one of his teammates and like the DB drills and everything. I'm like, that's kind of cool. That's not outweighing all the negatives that I've heard about
you just show up to watch your buddy. Like, that's not doing anything out of your
yeah,
way.
but
That's just something you
also
should do.
that well, I'm saying that's also setting the baseline of what I think about him. Then I'm like, oh, he showed up for a teammate. That's really cool.
Right. Yeah, wow. What a good, like, decent, potentially maybe decent teammate. Because he showed up. Like,
Hey.
you're right. It is like the opposite of what you think he would do. So I agree with CJ Stroud. I hope that I think he's going to be a great like face of the league coming up, you know? Like maybe not
I think
the
so,
face
too.
of the league, but like one of the top guys, one of the top quarterbacks. Like just seems like the right guy to be in that position.
I like him. The situation feels really good. They're adding pieces. You know, I love D'Amico. He's good. One of the other things, I think I sent you a clip on this. He was defending the Brock Purdy slander, too.
Yeah.
Or defending Brock Purdy against the Brock Purdy slander. He's like, this is crazy.
Right.
He's a good quarterback.
Yeah, he seems like he's very just reasonable, you know?
Yeah.
Game recognized game. Shout out CJ Stroud.
As two reasonable humans, we respect it.
Right. He's kind of like we're all on the same level, I guess.
I mean, I guess he's probably a little bit better of a quarterback than me.
Yeah,
But
I'm talking to like
I don't know. He's had more opportunities than me. So can you really tell?
that is true. He has had more opportunities than you. Did he create those? Maybe. But does it matter?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go no.
Right.
All right, now we got Iceman.
What's up, everybody? This week's unsung hero is Quantez Stiggers. The 5th round selection of the New York Jets this year has a cool background. You see, Quantez Stiggers is the first player selected from the CFL directly, the Canadian Football League, in this millennium. You see, Quantez Stiggers has been playing cornerback for the Toronto Argonauts, who will ironically not have a hockey team to cheer for in the next 24 hours. But I digress. Quantez Stiggers is more importantly the first player to ever get drafted in the NFL without ever playing a snap of college football. That's right. Quantez Stiggers has been drafted in the 5th round based off of his tape from the CFL and from the former league where the fans pick the plays, which would just be halfback wheel for playing NCAA 2015. But he is now on slate to set more history, being there with the New York Jets and just doing a good job. So here's to you, Quantez. Way to grind and find a way to make a career into the NFL. You're this week's unsung hero.
As always, what a story. What a feel-good story. Maybe there's a chance that we get drafted there. That's what I'm taking from this.
Should we hit the 2-minute drill?
Yeah, let's hit it.
Did Johnny Manziel's stance on boycotting the Heisman Trophy ceremony actually work? Jury's still out on that, but Reggie Bush did get his Heisman Trophy reinstated. It's been 14 years since he was forced to forfeit it.
Jeez. There's been some noise around Caitlin Clark's WNBA rookie deal, averaging $76,000 a year. But everyone knew she was going to be making money one way or the other. And she just did. She just inked a deal with Nike for an 8-year, $28 million contract.
The Detroit Lions also inked some big deals, with St. Brown getting a 4-year, $120 million extension with $77 million guaranteed, which is the most ever for a receiver. And Penix got a 4-year, $112 million extension, which is the largest contract ever for an offensive
Dan
lineman.
Campbell got some stuff to work with. Well, while we're on contract extensions, the Eagles gave A.J. Brown a 3-year, $96 million extension. His $32 million per season is the most ever for a receiver. Interesting.
Yeah, I feel like every new contract is just like, can we outpace it a little bit more?
Right.
But amidst all of the good receiver news we're talking about right now, receivers getting paid, a little scarier update. Tank Dell suffered a minor injury as he was an innocent bystander caught in the crossfire of a nightclub shooting in Florida. There were 10 people left injured, but it looks like none of them had life-threatening injuries, which is good.
And then finally, the U.S. and Mexico are withdrawing their bids to host the 2027 Women's World Cup, and instead they're going to bid together for the 2031 tournament.
Is it going to be like in Tijuana or like San Diego or something like that?
Yeah, they're actually doing that with the Men's World Cup, I think, coming up soon, too. I think it's U.S., Canada, and Mexico all together. Don't quote me.
So just in the U.S.?
There's actually, I know there's 1 or 2 venues in Mexico. One of the Mexican venues actually looks sweet.
I'm sure
Don't know
it
about
does look
traveling to it, but the venue looks awesome. So,
Dude, I bet it is so sick.
yeah.
Well, that's a little snapshot of what's happening in the sports world. Beside, obviously, the big one in the last week was the NFL draft. This was an offense-heavy draft. There were a record-setting 20 players that were taken in the first 32 picks, including 6 quarterbacks, which tied the record, and 7 wide receivers also tying the record. Offense is back. Offense wins championships. Not as back. Maybe it's taken over defense.
Definitely seems like it is.
We've talked about it. We're trying to move away from just being a sports podcast. We're talking about it a lot right now just because we care about sports. But what we're doing, instead of diving too much into the draft, there's like a surprising pick that most people are talking about. So we're talking about that, the number 1 pick situation with the Chicago Bears, and then, of course, South Carolina Gamecocks in the draft, how those turned out. And then Alan and I are each giving our winners and losers from the draft. So starting out with this surprising pick, I think everyone was a little bit surprised that the Falcons took Michael Penix Jr. at pick 8, especially since they had just inked the 4-year, $180 million deal with Kirk Cousins. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I really don't get it. If Kirk's contract would have been like 2 years, I'd probably understand. Yeah, I don't know why you would do that, other than the idea of, like Aaron Rodgers sitting behind Brett Favre kind of deal, which, 4 years is just kind of a long time to plan for that with a top pick, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes that much sense.
I don't like it. I've tried to see the positives of it if I was a Falcons fan. Like maybe you're trying to protect yourself in case the Kirk Cousins thing doesn't work out and you don't want to get stuck without a quarterback, and so you're getting a backup plan. Or like you're saying, maybe you're trying to get a developmental Aaron Rodgers under Brett Favre situation. It just doesn't make sense to me because, one hand, you can be nervous about Kirk Cousins coming off the Achilles injury, getting older. I get that. But Michael Penix had 4 season-ending injuries throughout his college career.
Right.
So if you're worried about injuries, it's a little bit questionable. Yeah, instead of going with another backup, you're getting someone who's older and probably more likely to be able to fill in for Kirk Cousins if he gets hurt. And so I get that side of it. But then along those same lines, Michael Penix is about to be 24. If he sits 4 years under Kirk Cousins, he's 28 at that point when he's starting. And so he seems almost like one of the most NFL-ready quarterbacks right now. And so I feel like he's a loser in this pick. Mm-hmm. Kirk Cousins is in a great situation. And it felt like they reached for him. He was QB6 on most people's boards. So if you're going to get him, trade back, try to get something else from that. That's what I didn't understand either. But
yeah, if I'm the Falcons, I'm trying to get another piece there and maybe even waiting until one of the later rounds to get a quarterback like Spencer Rattler, who is still available. Somebody.
Yep.
No, I'm not getting a backup with my first pick in the top 10.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. Should be interesting. We'll see. I mean, there's a possibility it could work out. I think Penix is a really good quarterback. I'll probably have him higher than 6 on my quarterback board. But at the same time, you probably, that for a backup, that seems like a reach. So
yeah, it just was strange to me that they drafted him let alone they drafted him, and then the fact that they got him with the 8th overall pick when most people had him projected at least 15.
Yeah.
It feels like you never know what GMs are talking about. Maybe he was always going to go in the top 10 and people outside didn't know that. But if not, overpaying can be very costly in a draft,
Yep. Yeah, I think they could have done more with it, for sure.
All right. So then the next one, number 1 pick, obviously Caleb Williams. That wasn't really any surprise. People knew it. But I feel like with all the hype around him, he's coming into a good situation. Obviously, Caleb Williams will be the starting quarterback. Wide receiver-wise, you have DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and then Rome Odunze. Weapons there. Running back, you got DeAndre Swift. Defense is still solid. The question with this, do you think the Bears can be a playoff contender now?
No. I don't think so. I don't think Caleb Williams is gonna take him there. I just don't. He has a great team around him. Those weapons, wide receivers and running back. Their line is kind of hit or miss. It's not the best, not the worst. I just don't think he has it, dude. I really don't. He had a good team at fake USC, and they went 7-5. Like, he had some weapons there, didn't do a whole bunch. The previous year when he won the Heisman, did decent, but I just don't see him doing it. Maybe next year. I don't see it happening this year. Not at all. I don't see it.
They're also, I mean, the Packers are young and really good. The division's not easy.
No.
Obviously, the Lions are going to be good. It's looking like for at least, I mean, I'm high on the Lions. When everyone was pulling against the 49ers with the Lions because the Lions deserve a chance, I'm like, one, that's hurtful, and why would you say that to me? Second of all, the Lions are going to be here for a little while. I don't think this is a one-and-done year.
Right.
They feel like they have been built well, like Dan Campbell, like the pieces they're doing. So the Lions are staying. Packers look like they're going to be around for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
I don't know.
I don't see it happening right now. Not yet. I think I agree. They're probably third in the division. But they do have, I mean, it's definitely possible. I just don't see it, man. And that's because I'm not high on Caleb Williams. I'm really not, dude. And I don't pull for people to just tank, or not tank, but like fail very often. But that's somebody who I want to just get humbled. And I think he's going to get humbled, honestly.
Talent-wise, he's obviously all there. Like, you can't deny that. I just don't know if he has the intangibles which actually make a good NFL quarterback.
Right.
Pieces, though, the situation's going to be great that he's going into.
Probably the best situation any first overall pick's ever been into.
Yeah.
Than I can think of.
I mean, better than C.J. Stroud and the Texans last year, even though coaching-wise I love D'Amico.
Yeah.
Weapons around him, like, it looks promising for the Bears.
Yeah, for
anyway,
sure.
Gamecocks, 4 picks. Xavier Legette, first round, obviously going to Carolina. Press conference was all time, by the way, for him.
Oh, yeah. That black
So
and
fun. I
blue
was
looks
watching that
good,
again.
man. I love that
And then
accent. That's a true South Carolina accent.
It is a true South Carolina accent for anyone who's unfamiliar with what outside of Columbia, Charleston, upstate, anywhere in between those areas.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
it.
like thicker than Randy Moss accent. That's that South.
I think it
South.
might be.
Yeah. Which is
So fun to listen
yeah,
to.
it's awesome. But he's gonna be a stud. Absolutely.
He's going to be a stud.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a great receiver. It's interesting, though, the comps were with Jonathan Mingo, and so the Panthers have 2 very similar receivers now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Legette is a DK Metcalf type receiver, I think. And
Deebo Samuel.
also, I mean, he's bigger than Deebo, though. I think the biggest, downside that people were saying, like scouts and stuff were saying, that he only had 1 true year of production, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had studs at receiver years prior, and he really didn't get as much playing time as he could have. But this 1 year when he broke out, he was the guy. He was going against the other team's best cornerback every time. A lot of times he was getting double teamed, and he still put up crazy numbers.
He was the only guy
He
for
was
most of the year.
the only guy. They knew the ball was going to him, and they couldn't stop him.
Still got it done.
He can go up and get the high
and in
ball.
the-
He's got jets. He's got hands. He's got all the makings of a great NFL receiver.
He had a couple rough drops, but other than that, there's really not a lot that you can fault him on.
Right.
And to that point, in the press conference we were talking about, they were asking, what was the difference coming into this year? And I don't disagree. He was like, Dow Loggins coming in made a big difference. If you're working with Sat and then go to Dow Loggins,
Yeah.
maybe the future is bright for
Very different
Goggles
mindset,
season next
too.
year.
Yeah.
Very different mindset. And then he put in the work with Deebo in the offseason, so love that pick. Again, for both of us, maybe the Panthers are our second favorite team again now.
Yeah, that makes a big difference for me, actually. That and the Clowney signing. Yeah. Still not going to be huge on the Panthers, but I'll pull for him.
But a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, then Spencer Rattler.
Falling or not falling, depending on the perspective coming in, but going 5th round, pick 15 to the New Orleans Saints. Thoughts on this?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of low. Love it for him though. I think it's a pretty good landing spot for him. They don't have like a set quarterback for the future. I know Derek Carr is there and is going to be the guy for the meantime, but I think that's a great situation for Spencer to go into because he's not probably expected to play right away, but I think he could play kind of soon, within the next year or two. So I think that's a pretty good situation. Anybody who's trashing Spencer's character based on the high school show just obviously hasn't kept up with the past 2 years since he was at Carolina. I used to not be able to stand the guy just based on how the show painted him. But when he was at Carolina, like he never did anything really douchey, not really cocky. He had the one game against Tennessee where he counted on his fingers, which I thought was sick. But if you're an opposing team, you probably thought it was douchey. But that's literally the only thing over the past 2 years that I have seen that anybody could rag on, like him bragging or boasting or anything.
I'm not even going to say that the show painted him. I would say that he probably was like that as a senior in high school.
Right.
But that was a long time ago. Also, the same people that are putting Caleb Williams at number 1 and excusing him are saying this about Spencer Rattler. So a little bit of a disconnect there. I feel like leadership-wise, anyone who played with him in South Carolina I can't think of anyone who's had anything bad to say about him.
Right. I haven't either.
So I feel like teammate-wise, leadership-wise, all of that's there. Shane Beamer is high on him. Steal of the draft. We'll label it as that.
Oh, yeah.
All right. You want to hit the next South Carolina guy?
Yeah, round 6, pick number 4, Marcellus Dial to the New England Patriots. He was actually the 34th Gamecock defensive back drafted, which is pretty good all time. 5th in the last 4 years. I looked up the most defensive backs drafted by a single school, and it's 50 with Ohio State. So, I mean, 34 is pretty high up there, really.
Yeah, relative to the rest of picks that we have coming out versus Ohio State has coming out.
Yeah.
It's also you said 5th in the last 4 years, right?
Yeah.
Or just that? Yeah, so 5 in the last 4 years, and then I think it was maybe like 19 picks since 2001, something like that I read.
Jeez.
So churning out DBs. I mean, look at Stephon Gilmore. J.C. Horn struggled with injuries, but is very, very good when healthy. And there are a lot of good DBs out there. So it's interesting. I would think about New England. It would make sense normally them drafting a defensive player. But this year, it was a complete 180 from the Belichick era of all defense to now. This was incredibly offensive. They drafted 2 quarterbacks. They got Milton late.
Yeah, they're totally doing a flip from Belichick, which is interesting. I wonder how much the culture has changed since then.
You would like to think in an ideal world, if you're a Patriots fan, they kept the core DNA of what it is, but it's just kind of putting the new offensive heavy spin on it, kind of, I don't want to say modernizing it, but the game has changed in the last 20 years and adapting to that. All right, so then what's the last one?
Round 7, pick 36, Nick Gargili. I actually don't know how to say his name.
But our center.
Yeah, our center. To the Denver Broncos. Wish him well.
Wish him well. Shocked me that anyone from our offensive line got drafted.
I was just about to say that. Yep, that's really all I have to say about that. Wish him really well. Glad he got drafted.
Wish him well. I'm sure he's a great guy. He went to a great school. Yep. Nothing but good things to say about that. But winners and losers of the draft. I was going to limit it to 1 team each, but that just didn't happen. So winner-wise, I narrowed it down to 4 teams that I like. The Steelers, this is kind of bringing in the rest of their offseason, but landing Russell Wilson, getting Justin Fields as a backup, then they stacked their O-line. They added some more defensive pieces. They got another receiver. It just feels like with what their needs were coming into the offseason, the pieces they added, and then the draft, they're set up really well. So I like them. The Chargers are another one to me. I think Joe Alt is a stud. They got Ladd McConkey. I think he's going to be a really good receiver too. Seems like the pieces that they needed to start rebuilding with Justin Herbert, they started to get. Like that. Also in LA, the Rams, Blake Corum being there. I mean, I know you are really high on Blake Corum.
Yeah, I am.
I think that could be a nice punch with Kyrene. And then finally the Saints with the steal of Spencer Rattler. I'm not just saying that because I'm a South Carolina fan. I really do think Spencer Rattler has the pieces to be a very good NFL quarterback.
Yep, I think so too. I like all those. I have, and this is semi-biased, but I actually don't think it's that biased. I have Miami as a winner. The Dolphins kind of stacked their team with some really good guys here. We got Chop Robinson. You got Jalen Wright, who adds a lot of speed to that backfield that already is the fastest backfield in the NFL. Malik Washington, wide receiver from Virginia. If you watch any of his highlights, dude is just a stud. And Taj Washington from the fake USC. Both of those guys are going to add depth to the wide receiver core. And then my favorite pick of all is round 5, pick 23, Mohamed Kamara from Colorado State. I watched a couple of Colorado State's games, and dude is just a dog. He was in the backfield every play, specifically in the game that everybody was watching that was Colorado versus Colorado State. He was leaving his mark on that game. Seriously, every single play he was in the backfield, and then he got ejected for a targeting call. It was kind of but Colorado ended up winning after that. But the way he affects a game, I think, is huge for Miami, who really needs to fill a hole at linebacker right now.
I like that pick. Honestly, don't like the Jalen Wright pick. I think he's good. The Dolphins are so obsessed with speed and building there. There's so many more pieces that I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but you have Raheem Mostert and Achane. Like, you don't need to add anything else there. You did have holes that you need to fill. So, yeah, why are you just stacking the thing that you're good at instead of filling the other things? Like, how do you really, like, look at what your problems were late in the year. You didn't have a fast enough running back in the backfield.
Right.
I'm kind of like, yeah, maybe value-wise is a good pick, but I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think just for, like, depth, I don't know, I like it. I guess you do have two really fast running backs already.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, third one's great, but really, like, how much is that going to come into play?
Yeah.
When there's other things that I think were more pressing for them to get that they didn't.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely going all in on the speed aspect. I think they're going to live and die by the speed, and I actually love that. So,
well, it starts by Mike McDaniels running off the sideline, you know?
Speedy.
That's leadership.
Yeah, it's so funny that we think it's funny when he does it, but we think it's ridiculous when Dabo does it.
Well, because Dabo looks like a nerd when he does it. That's why.
Yeah, Mike McDaniel just looks like his dad handing him the keys to the team, and he's taking over for the summer.
Dude, that's true. So, any other winners you have before we go to the losers?
I mean, I really think the Chargers were a big winner with McConkey. Two picks that I really like. I don't know about the overall draft aspect. I really like Ricky Pearsall to the 49ers. I thought that was a really good pick. I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do now with Debo and with Ayuk after drafting Pearsall. Hopefully they just keep them all. But I don't know. I heard they were listening to offers for Debo, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I'd love to have Debo down in South Beach.
No.
Or, hey,
no, you got to keep
Carolina.
Him all.
But anyway, another pick I think was really good, and I don't love that he went there. I think Keon Coleman to the Bills was a huge pickup because they really needed another wide receiver there, and he's a stud. He can go up and get the ball. I think that was a good pick.
Those are good ones. Losers for me, Falcons are the clear-cut loser. I just don't get it. You had great position, and to me it just feels like fumbling an opportunity. Even if you end up getting Penix, it didn't make sense. So I've got them, and then the other one, I probably would say the Browns. I mean, you're still just, it just didn't seem like they did anything in this draft.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you who the Browns picks were, but none of them jumped off the page to me at all.
Then again, you're just dealing with Deshaun Watson decision to go get him, so whatever.
Right. Yeah, I'll probably second the Browns as my biggest loser of the draft. I don't really have anybody else.
Yeah. Sweet. All right, you got a Florida man?
Game time. In memory of my time in Florida, I'm doing another Florida man challenge. The headline is just Florida man, and then you got 4 options. You got to pick which one is false. So 3 of them are true, 1 of them's false. All right, Florida man tries to rob GameStop while wearing transparent bag on head. Florida man gets tired of waiting at hospital, steals ambulance to drive home. Florida man steals dozens of pigeons while wearing trash bag and bucket on head. Florida man runs car through orange grove for revenge after being hit by a falling orange.
Ooh. I know the GameStop is true. I've seen that one.
Oh, you've seen that one?
Which then makes me wonder if the pigeon story is false, because it's kind of close bringing that in. The orange story, it makes sense, but it also feels like it would be easy to make up. The stealing an ambulance, like, that's definitely happening in Florida. There's no way. You might have made it up, but that's a real story
right.
in Florida. I'm going to go C with the pigeons.
Is fake?
Yeah.
You should have stuck with 4. C is true.
Oh, is the orange?
The orange story is false. Yeah.
Mm.
Dude steals dozens of pigeons while wearing trash bag and bucket on head. Also, I don't know where he's stealing pigeons from.
Is he like stealing it from a front yard?
The picture would look like he was in some warehouse that had like cages of chickens and he was stealing them. And he did have like a bucket on his head.
Oh,
the transparent bag
hilarious.
on head one is also hilarious.
Oh, that I've seen the pictures of that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's like a Dasani water bottle like bag that you can just totally see his face.
I was thinking, because I saw the headline and I looked it up, I was thinking that it was, I don't know, like a Walmart bag or something that you can still kind of make out what's behind it, but it's a little bit more disguised.
Yeah.
No, it's like a Dasani water case bag.
Yeah, it's like you can see his whole face. And then the other one with getting tired of waiting at the hospital, I totally get it. But, call an Uber, don't steal an ambulance. Hospital wait times can be pretty rough, but yeah, stealing an ambulance is pretty, that's aggressive. That's extreme. That's aggressive, yeah.
The pigeon one, if I didn't know the other bag story was true and thought that might have been an inspiration for it, I would have had to have believed that was true because it's so crazy.
Right, but, yeah, and that's kind of why I picked the 2, because they're so similar. Or not similar, but it's just like robbing something with something on your head, right?
In a bucket. That's nuts.
Yeah.
The orange one, yeah. That's crazy.
I almost put one in.
Florida's a weird place.
There was a dude that was arrested for fighting a tree. Like, he wouldn't stop punching the tree. Like, he was just, like, squaring up with it. And
is that because the tree was, like, protected or it was self-harm for beating a tree up? Or?
I think it was, like, somebody's, like, property or something. And he just got disorderly conduct. So, squaring up with a tree. Which is wild.
Man, that's nuts. That is absolutely wild.
All right. Well, for the draft,
we're going to hit the best summer evening activities. Inspiration for this. I was outside last night about 7 o'clock. It was right before the sun set through that. And the summer evening is the best time. And if you disagree with me, you're wrong. We're welcome to argue about it. But it is the best time to be outside. And so the thought was, what are the best ways to spend that time? The golden hour of life.
Yep.
And I've got the first pick. Obviously, this isn't going to be in the cards all the time, but the best way to spend a summer evening is on a boat on a lake, I think. Or I guess I'm not going to say on a lake, just on a boat ride, like an evening sunset boat cruise.
Yep, that's the one I had too. I think that's a clear cut number 1. The vibes are just way too high for that.
The best way to do it is if you got like a wakeboard too, you get a sunset ride in. That's a good one. Even if you're on a pontoon, if you're on a catamaran, like it doesn't matter, just any kind of boat, a kayak even, on a boat, sunset cruise.
Oh yeah, that's real nice. All right, did I get 2 or 1?
You get 2.
Oh, 2. So I'm going to stay by the water as well. Water and summer just go way too well together. I love sitting on the beach all day, waiting on that sun to set, and then finally just watching the sunset on the beach before you go home. Sunset on the beach is my number 1. Number 2, when that sun's going down, it's getting a little bit cooler out, but it's not super cold yet. Got to throw a fire on. Summer evening bonfire is my number 2.
Yeah, that was on my list for sure. I love all of these so far. I'm going to go with my second pick, a little bit more of an everyday summer, or potential to be an every week summer activity, and that is a cookout. A backyard cookout. Maybe you've got some lawn games, cornhole, something like that, got the grill fired up.
Right.
Backyard cookout.
Oh, yeah.
And then a couple different ways I can take this, but with my third pick, this is a more niche option, but a dusk surf session, like right when the sun's kind of going down, you're out in the water, it's just calm. No one else is really out there.
Oh, yeah.
It's prime time.
And that might be my favorite of all. That
It's my favorite.
didn't really
it's just,
think about as putting it there. But just like having a big day on the beach, hanging, doing summer activities and then ending it with a nice surf session at sunset. True, that's so nice.
You're like a little bit sunburnt and it's cool.
Yeah.
The water's like a little bit cooler now. It's calm. Everything starts to get a little bit gray.
Mm-hmm.
That it feels like a magical time.
Ah, dude, that's such a good pick. That's probably my favorite of all. Yeah, the reason I didn't even think of that one because I think what I was thinking of is my favorite is actually a sunrise surf session. I love sunrise. Typically the water's...
But we know I like sleeping in it.
Right. But the water's like just a little bit like less chopped up at sunrise, it seems like. So it seems like it's usually a little bit better. But the vibes are still awesome doing that. All right. Summer, if there's one sport that's going to be around in summer, it's baseball. And we're going to the ballpark on a nice summer evening, watching some baseball. Maybe even having a hot dog. Going to be a great summer evening. So I'm picking baseball, number 3.
Oh, yeah.
Number 4, we're actually going to be playing the sport. A nice little evening volleyball session. Love some summer beach volleyball.
Dude, yes.
Ooh, or spike ball. Volleyball's better.
Or spike ball.
Yeah.
Well, I'll, in my backyard cookout, spike ball will be in there. Don't worry.
Right.
We've got that covered. Right. Well, you got baseball. I was going to say go to a baseball game or something like that. But if this is allowed, wiffle ball. Growing up,
Playing wiffle ball.
we would have playing wiffle
Yeah,
ball.
that's fair.
You're growing up, I've got 3 brothers, and so a lot of times in the summer, we'd be outside, play a game, come in, watch some baseball, watch the Braves win, something like that. And so a wiffle ball game, right as it's, again, probably like that 7 o'clock hour, it's perfect. You're out in the field playing around. So I've got wiffle ball, and then final pick. There's one that I haven't done it forever that I might do, but I gotta go with what I do most of the time, and that would be a little surf skate or skateboard cruise around the neighborhood.
Nice. That's good. For my final pick, I really want to go run, and I thought that's what I was going to do, but then I thought about it. Perfect summer night. You're just throwing a line in the water, going fishing.
That's the one that I almost did. I'm glad you took it because it's been so long since I've done that, but hit a pond, dude.
Yeah, you can't let that one go by. That summertime fishing in the evening is perfect. Great way to end
That
the
was
day.
a steal.
Yeah.
I'm glad you took it because I almost did, but I'm like, it gotta be true, and I haven't done that in a long time, so.
I haven't either, and
Dang.
I need to do it soon.
I'm so
Wet
excited
line.
for summer.
Yeah,
I love this.
It's going to be the best summer
Yes.
anyone's ever had. We're going to do all these things except across the pond.
Throw a line in the pond, across the pond.
It's going to be huge.
It's gonna be huge.
First outdoor pod. More to come.
Peace.
Peace.